Hello all, and welcome back. This is Six Path Weeb, and you're tuned into my anime fanfic channel, where headcanons come to life and crossovers get wild. Today's topic is a spicy one: what if Bayonetta noticed Naruko's sexy jutsu? Part 2. Things are about to get hilarious, chaotic, and maybe even a little magical. So buckle up, anime lovers, you won't want to miss this. Disclaimer: the content on this channel is for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos. All rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Now, let's dive right in, dear YouTube viewers. Let the fanfic madness begin. Naruko tied the forehead protector around her head with a confident grin. Just a year ago, she'd struggled with the exam, barely managing to create a single clone. But today? She had summoned 6 without breaking a sweat. It was amazing how much progress one could make in a short time, and she knew exactly who to thank for that. Naruko and Kurama exited the academy building together. All around them, families were celebrating or comforting their children based on their results. Conversations gradually faded into stunned silence as people noticed Kurama walking beside Naruko. Despite being much smaller now and with fewer tails, his resemblance to the legendary fox from years ago was unmistakable. Naruko, unfazed by the wary glances and hushed murmurs, strolled past the courtyard and into the village, heading toward a quieter part of town. Kurama padded loyally beside her, ignoring the whispers. "I was seriously tempted to say hi just to see their reactions," Kurama said with a teasing glint in his eyes. "They don't have any actual proof that you're who they think you are. The worst they can do is gossip," Naruko replied with a casual shrug. "Let's not worry about anything until there's a reason to." Kurama gave her a long, flat look. "You didn't have to summon me, you know. Or keep me around after that situation with Mizuki. Is this your idea of a practical joke?" Naruko chuckled. "I'm just reintroducing you to the village. If they're going to talk, might as well give them something interesting to talk about." "If this is your idea of humor, I have to question your taste," Kurama muttered. Naruko smiled playfully. "Chaos keeps things interesting." Soon, they arrived at a cafe with a striking name, the Ember Lounge. It was early afternoon, so the place wasn't busy. Naruko walked in like she owned the room, and Kurama sat calmly at her side, the magical collar around his neck subtly glowing. Naruko sat down at a table, pretending not to notice the wide-eyed patrons trying to pretend they weren't staring. Moments later, a familiar face approached, Bayonetta, the most stylish server in the village, known for her flair and charm. Today, her outfit looked like a classy black blouse and a flowing skirt, her long legs and high heels clicking confidently on the floor. "Well, hello there," Bayonetta said cheerfully. "Can I get you something to drink?" Naruko played along with a mischievous smile. "I'll have a fruit soda, and could you bring some water in a bowl for my friend here?" Bayonetta winked. "Coming right up. It's good to see you both." As she walked away, Kurama turned to Naruko. "That outfit of hers looks like it was designed to break necks. Does she act like that with everyone?" "She's great at her job. Friendly, charismatic, it's part of the atmosphere," Naruko said. "We trust each other. That's what matters." Kurama shook his head. "You humans are so complicated sometimes." Soon, Bayonetta returned with their drinks and took a seat at their table with her own sparkling cherry soda. "Rodan gave me a quick break. How's your day going, Naruko-chan?" Naruko smiled warmly, then gave her a quick peck on the cheek. "Pretty great. Trained with some taijutsu pros this morning, reconnected with Iruka-sensei, surprised Mizuki with a well-timed summon, passed my final test. And now I'm here with 2 of my favorite people." Bayonetta laughed, eyeing the curious patrons still watching Kurama. "If the villagers start panicking, you're on crowd control duty." "Understood," Naruko said, giving a mock salute. "Your happiness is my mission." Just then, a masked Anbu appeared silently at their table. Both Naruko and Bayonetta had sensed them well before they arrived but played along. "Uzumaki-san," the Anbu said formally, "the Hokage requests your presence immediately." Naruko nodded, finishing her drink. "Got it. Kurama, let's go." Kurama gave his bowl one last lick before rising. Together, they followed the Anbu through the village. People whispered and stepped aside, still wary of Kurama's presence. Naruko, however, found the reactions a bit amusing, how quickly people made assumptions. When they arrived at the Hokage's office, the receptionist nearly climbed over her desk to avoid Kurama. The Anbu disappeared as Naruko opened the door and stepped inside. Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage, was already there, looking thoughtful as he puffed on his pipe. You called, Hokage Gigi? Naruko asked cheerfully. The old man sighed. Yes, I did. Congratulations on your graduation, Naruko. That said, today's entrance was quite the spectacle. Naruko tilted her head. I'm not going to keep Kurama hidden away anymore. He's part of me, and I trust him. Everyone else will just have to get used to that. Hiruzen looked at her carefully. You do realize that many still remember the events of long ago? That was then, Naruko replied gently but firmly. This is now. People grow, and so do legends. Maybe it's time to write a new one. The Hokage gave a small, tired smile. You've always had a way with words. Just try not to cause too much commotion while you're at it. No promises, Naruko said with a grin. Hiruzen's expression grew thoughtful, his gaze narrowing slightly. Is this your way of responding to the way you were treated by the villagers growing up? By surprising them with Kurama walking by your side? Naruko waved a hand casually. Maybe a little. But mostly because I honestly find the whole thing pretty amusing. Hiruzen let out a quiet sigh and pinched the bridge of his nose. Naruko, I've been receiving serious reports. Some are genuinely concerned and even talking about drastic actions. This situation is far more delicate than it seems. What do you suggest we do to settle things? Naruko shrugged lightly. I say we repeal the law keeping everything a secret. Let people know I've gained control over Kurama and that I like to keep him out in the open as a kind of summoned partner. The ones willing to be reasonable will understand. As for anyone who overreacts, I'll handle things peacefully. Hiruzen blinked, taken aback. You're suggesting revealing yourself as a Jinchuriki publicly? Why not? Naruko said with calm confidence. The people who matter will understand, and those who don't. Well, I've made peace with that. You could even say I spent the last year training to master Kurama's chakra, which wouldn't be far from the truth. Hiruzen inhaled deeply, settling his thoughts. The law was meant to protect your chance at a normal life. If we proceed with this, the village's view of you may shift dramatically, some might grow cautious, others could panic. Are you ready for that? Naruko gave a confident smile. There's only one person whose opinion truly matters to me, and I know she's got my back no matter what. I'm ready, Hokage Gigi. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, the central square in front of the Hokage Tower was filled with villagers. Those unable to attend in person were already gathering news from those who had. Standing on the balcony, Hiruzen looked out over the crowd, his voice projected by chakra-empowered seals. Ladies and gentlemen of Konoha, thank you for coming. Today, I share a truth that has been hidden for far too long. You may recall that, 18 years ago, during the Nine-Tailed Fox's attack, it was said that the fourth Hokage defeated the creature at the cost of his life. That, however, was not the entire truth. The older members of the crowd murmured in disbelief, while the younger ones listened with wide eyes, their understanding of history beginning to shift. The fourth Hokage used a powerful sealing technique to place the nine-tailed fox within a newborn child, making her its vessel. That child's name is Uzumaki Naruko. Gasps and shouts filled the square. People exchanged glances, whispered theories, and tried to grasp the revelation. Hiruzen raised a hand, and silence followed immediately. Let me be absolutely clear, Uzumaki Naruko is not the nine-tailed fox. She is no more the fox than a scroll containing a kunai is the weapon itself. The two are separate beings. Any assumption otherwise ignores the truth. Some listeners looked thoughtful, re-examining old beliefs. Others resisted the change, unwilling to let go of long-standing ideas. But those who had known Naruko personally began to see her in a new light. The past year, Hiruzen continued, Naruko has undergone advanced training under my supervision to safely and responsibly channel Kurama's chakra. She has succeeded beyond expectations and now holds complete control. To demonstrate, Naruko will show you. On the summit of the Hokage monument, Kurama appeared in full form, his presence immense and awe-inspiring. His roar rolled across the village like thunder. As the crowd stiffened in fear, Kurama gracefully leapt from the mountain. Mid-air, his form shrank until he was only the size of a large dog. Riding atop him was Naruko, calm and confident. They landed effortlessly beside Hiruzen, not a single tile disturbed. Hiruzen turned to the crowd once more. As you've witnessed, Uzumaki Naruko maintains complete control over Kurama. If you see the fox by her side, treat him no differently than a trusted companion. I assure you, neither Naruko nor Kurama pose any threat to the village. However, anyone who harms or threatens either without cause will be treated as though they've attacked a member of our shinobi forces or their official partners. That is all. After offering the Hokage a respectful farewell, Naruko and Kurama descended the building and entered the village square. Many villagers paused, unsure of what to say or do. Naruko paid them no mind, continuing calmly toward the home she shared with Bayonetta. Only after locking the door behind her and feeling the safety of the protective wards did she allow herself to breathe freely. Well, she said to herself with a small chuckle, no going back now. Kurama stretched beside her, his voice playful. Let's hope no one gets too bold. Clothes are always a pain to chew through. Naruko smirked. You won't need to do anything unless you want to. I'm mostly keeping you out so you can enjoy some open air after being stuck for so long. Kurama nodded. I appreciate that. Still, I like helping out. Even if you're stronger, I've got my own talents. You deal with the minor problems, and I'll handle the tricky stuff, Naruko said cheerfully. Now go enjoy the backyard or something. I've got notes from my parents to study. If I can combine their work on seals and chakra with infernal magic, Bayonetta and I will be unstoppable. With a grin, Kurama padded off to bask in the evening sun. Naruko eagerly turned to a worn journal, her eyes lighting up as she dived into the theories and techniques left behind by her parents. Hours passed unnoticed. It was well after midnight when the front door opened gently. Bayonetta stepped inside, her outfit shimmering back into her usual sleek attire as she secured the door. Tadaima. Did I say that right? She asked with a smile. Okaeri, Naruko replied with a bright grin, her eyes sparkling. How was your first night? It was pretty chaotic, but nothing Rodan and I couldn't handle, Bayonetta said with a confident smile as she walked over and gave him a gentle kiss, which was happily returned. Pulling back, she chuckled lightly. Half the customers were calming their nerves after you and Kurama leapt off that cliff. You're lucky you didn't start a panic. Naruko shrugged playfully. Hey, I can't help it if a little excitement gets people worked up. So, how was your first performance? Bayonetta chuckled and produced a hefty stack of earnings from her pocket dimension. If I do this well every time I dance, we could upgrade to a bigger home in just a couple of months. I always believed I had a knack for showmanship. Naruko let out an impressed whistle at the sight of the stack of Ryo Bayonetta had made in just a few hours. Wow. Looks like you might end up being the one supporting both of us. Then shouldn't dinner have been ready when I got home? Bayonetta teased, before they both shared a hearty laugh. So, did you find anything interesting? She asked, motioning toward the pile of scrolls and journals at Naruko's feet. Naruko nodded with enthusiasm. So much. First off, turns out To-san managed all the Hokage paperwork using this amazing clone jutsu called the Shadow Clone. They disappear with a single hit, but they're just as capable as the original and transfer all their experiences back when they're dispelled. That's just with standard chakra though. I wonder how it'll behave with infernal magic? Bayonetta's eyes gleamed with curiosity. That sounds like an incredible technique. Naruko chuckled and nodded. Definitely on top of my training list now. After that, there's a deep dive into one of his signature techniques, the Rasengan. It's a compact orb of energy that grinds through targets using pure rotational force. The notes also explore enhancing it with elemental properties. There's even mention of something called Sage Mode. I'll have to ask Gigi about it next time we meet. Bayonetta nodded thoughtfully. And your mother? Did she leave anything noteworthy behind? Naruko's eyes lit up as she retrieved a few more books. Most people think To-san was the sealing master, but it was really Ka-san who did most of the work, she just let him take credit. Her notes have everything from preserving flowers to some kind of advanced energy theory. If we can translate these into modern magic sigils, we could revolutionize the entire village. Bayonetta laughed. Save that ambition for when you're Hokage and everyone has to listen to you. Now, how about a nice bath? All that performing has left me feeling a bit less than fresh. With all thoughts of village improvement momentarily set aside, Naruko followed her wife into the bathroom. They quickly washed up and then relaxed together in a steaming hot tub, their hair magically tied up to stay dry. They sat close, simply enjoying the warmth and quiet together. So, what's on the schedule for tomorrow? Bayonetta asked, resting her head on Naruko's shoulder. Naruko thought for a moment. After I failed the exam the first time, I kept an eye on what happened next. Graduates are split into teams of 3 and paired with a jonin teacher. Funny thing, some students who passed the graduation exam showed up in class again the following year. My guess is the jonin each do their own final test to decide if the team is ready to become Jonin. Makes sense, Bayonetta mused. If teamwork is so important, they probably want to make sure you can cooperate and not just work solo. Got any idea who you'll be teamed up with? Naruko smiled. Technically, I'm still ranked last since I missed the year and only got to take the exam, thanks to Gigi. Historically, that means I'll probably be teamed up with the top 2 students. Lucky me. I just hope we get a good sensei who can help them catch up quickly. I'd rather not have to hold back when I know I can do more. Bayonetta chuckled. Naruko, you literally revealed your connection to the 9-tailed fox today. I think everyone would expect you to be ahead of the curve, Jinan, Jonin, even cage level. Don't worry about holding back. Focus on helping your team grow with you. Naruko smiled and kissed her forehead gently. You always know just what to say. It's a gift, Bayonetta said with a grin, and they both laughed softly. They enjoyed a little more time soaking and talking before heading to bed to rest. The next morning, they woke up refreshed, each preparing to go about their day. Naruko picked up Kurama and headed toward her favorite training grounds. People still kept their distance, but Naruko didn't mind. As she'd told Hiruzen, what mattered most was the support of those who truly cared. At the training field, she found Lee and Guy already hard at work. Naruko raised a hand in greeting. Yo! Lee-san. Guy-sensei. The two paused mid-exercise, somewhere around their 9,000th jumping jack, and looked over at the approaching Kunoichi and the large fox beside her. Naruko-san. Lee called out, jogging over impressively fast considering the weight strapped to his legs. He paused as he noticed Kurama, but then bowed politely. And greetings to you, Kurama-san. Kurama flicked an ear in acknowledgement. Just Kurama is fine. The kid insists on telling everyone my name, so I might as well get used to it. Lee gave a tentative smile. All right then. Nice to meet you, Kurama. Turning to Naruko, he added with excitement, your performance during the Hokage's speech was incredibly inspiring. But I thought your training was focused on becoming a magic user, not learning how to work with Kurama's energy. Naruko grinned. Why not both? I'm good at multitasking. Kurama gave a soft huff. She spent the first 6 months refining her mystical abilities, then faced me and won in a single match. Honestly, I felt like an afterthought. Naruko scratched the side of Kurama's head in his favorite spot. I could have absorbed you and erased your essence, but I chose not to. Be grateful I'm a kind-hearted person. Yeah, Kurama muttered, though his tail flicked with contentment despite his tone. Might Guy approached with his usual enthusiasm. Greetings, Naruko-chan. And Kurama-san. I feel the spirit of youth burning especially bright this morning. Naruko smiled and summoned the magical weapons known as Scarborough Fair. Sounds great. Let me just take care of the angel problem first, and then we can begin. Guy and Lee exchanged glances. Naruko-chan. Would it be alright if we watched your battle with the angels? Guy asked earnestly. Naruko blinked. Sure. Come along, everyone. She traced an Umbran glyph in the air and stepped through it, followed closely by Kurama, Guy, and Lee. Naruko turned back and whispered in a mystical language. Another glyph appeared beneath the two shinobi and the tailed beast, forming a glowing purple barrier around them. This is just for your protection. Enjoy the show. Just then, the morning light shifted into the radiant glow of Paradiso, and a luminous glyph appeared, sealing off the training field. Naruko sensed two powerful presences emerging from thin air, beings known as Fondness and Fearless. She smiled. Time to get to work, she said before leaping into action. Guy and Lee watched in amazement as Naruko moved like a blur, launching a precise flurry of attacks against the two celestial beings. Each strike from Naruko caused their ornate armor to shatter, revealing a glowing, otherworldly form beneath. With a powerful magical construct, she grounded one of the beings and sent it back to its realm in a burst of light. The other tried to retaliate, but Naruko effortlessly dodged, summoned a large enchanted wheel, and used it in combination with her agility and magic to neutralize the threat. Just as the battle settled, 3 more angels appeared, these ones striking in appearance and armed with ribbon-like weapons. Naruko let out a playful sigh. Ah, the joys. Figures. The joys attacked swiftly, but Naruko was even faster. Trained by the legendary Bayonetta, Naruko was a force to be reckoned with. She outmaneuvered the trio, skillfully neutralizing 2 of them with seamless precision. For the third, Naruko decided to demonstrate a dramatic magical technique for her audience. Using her powers, she bound the remaining joy and summoned an enchanted steed from another realm. With grace and control, she used a magical chain to complete the technique, causing the angel to vanish in a burst of light. With no more threats on the field, Naruko released the protective dome. And that's how I handle angels, Naruko said casually, drawing another glyph and escorting Guy, Lee, and Kurama back to Earth. Lee was visibly blushing. Naruko-chan. That last move you used. Those are called focused magical attacks. They deliver a lot of impact in one go. My magical allies rate me on how well I perform in battle, and they love it when I get creative. The joys are especially tricky, so that one's made to deal with them specifically, she explained with a shrug. Guy took a thoughtful stance. Your combat style is remarkable. Every move flows into the next, like a well-practiced dance. And it was quite unexpected to see the true form of those angels beneath their armor. Naruko chuckled. Like I said, angels and demons aren't as different as they like to pretend. The angels may dress themselves in light, but underneath, they're still beings of great power with their own agenda. Kurama yawned. So, am I just going to be standing around while you all train, or do I get to do something too? Naruko gave Kurama a smile that made the great fox a little nervous. Hey, Guy-sensei, have you ever trained a tailed beast in physical conditioning? Guy's eyes lit up with excitement. Not yet. But what a wonderful opportunity. Come, Kurama-san. Let us embrace the springtime of youth together. And just like that, Kurama was pulled into the morning routine, grumbling the whole way. Naruko, of course, led the exercises with her usual enthusiasm. Guy still maintained his role as the leader, and Lee gave his all. Kurama, not wanting to be outdone by a human his size, pushed himself impressively. After 2 hours of intense training, Guy clapped his hands. Now, off to breakfast. Naruko tilted her head as the Jonin sprinted away. Wait. Was that a race? Lee caught his breath, scratching his head. Sometimes Guy-sensei gets a little too inspired. Let's catch up then, Naruko said with a grin. Feeding more of her chakra into Kurama's form, she hoisted Lee onto the fox's back, who had grown to massive proportions. Let's go. This is humiliating, Kurama muttered, though he dashed forward at remarkable speed. Lee clung to Naruko tightly as they sped through the forest. Naruko found the moment unexpectedly comfortable. Maybe Bayonetta-chan's right. You never know who you'll connect with until you let yourself be open. They arrived at the village before Guy, who was still running full speed. Once they reached the quaint little restaurant, Naruko shrank Kurama down again. Villagers watched them pass, though this time the stares were more curious than fearful. It was progress. To Naruko's surprise, Guy wasn't alone when he finally arrived. He was joined by Bayonetta. Bayonetta-chan? How'd you run into Guy-sensei? Bayonetta adjusted her glasses. I saw you and Kurama dashing through the streets and followed along. Then I ran into your energetic friend here. I've been trying to give him a fashion update. With that body, he'd stop traffic with the right wardrobe. Naruko tilted her head and studied Guy. She's not wrong. Guy-sensei, a new look could do wonders. Lee, overwhelmed by Bayonetta's presence, stammered. And Naruko-chan. Who is this charming lady? Naruko laughed. Lee, Guy-sensei, meet Uzumaki Bayonetta. She's my teacher, my ally, and my wife. Both men were speechless. You're married? Guy finally managed. I know, Bayonetta said with a wink. What's a timeless sorceress doing with a young kunoichi? Simple, supporting someone she loves. Lee turned red as Bayonetta patted his head. You're sweet, young man. Magic has its benefits, especially when it comes to age and looks. Naruko clapped her hands. All right, enough chit-chat. Let's eat. The 5 of them shared a booth. Kurama rested under the table, stretched out contentedly. The restaurant staff were cautious but respectful. The group exchanged stories. Naruko and Bayonetta talked about their time training together, while Guy and Lee told tales of their missions. By the end, Naruko felt a warm sense of connection with them. They all parted ways shortly after. Guy and Lee returned home to freshen up, Bayonetta went to her workplace, and Naruko, accompanied by Kurama, made her way to the academy. Students moved aside as Naruko entered, whispering to each other. Kurama walked confidently by her side. Though he'd been a fearsome presence in the past, today, he remained calm and dignified. Naruko found her usual seat, currently occupied. But when the students saw her approaching, they quietly moved aside. Kurama sat down beside her, watching the other students with calm eyes. Akimichi Kuji approached Naruko, bag of chips in hand. He looked a little more toned beneath his usual layers. Hey, Naruko. It's been a while. Naruko nodded. Hey, Kuji. You and Shikamaru still the dynamic duo? Kuji smiled. Yup. Best friends for life. He took a bite. So, where was this training the Hokage mentioned? In a hidden valley near the Earth Country border, she answered. Kuji looked at Kurama. Does he have a name? It's Kurama. And yes, he talks, Naruko replied with a grin. Kurama gave a small nod. Nice to meet you. Kuji hesitated, then offered some chips. Kurama eyed them for a moment, then accepted with a pleased rumble. I forgot how good barbecue flavor is. Naruko gave Kuji a thumbs up. Congrats. He likes you. That's pretty rare. Kuji grinned. Cool. See you around, Naruko. With that, he returned to his seat, and Naruko smiled quietly to herself, Kurama now munching chips at her side like he'd found a new favorite snack. Naruko quietly observed the rest of the class. Even after the incident with Kuji, most students still looked at her and Kurama with a mix of curiosity and caution. However, there were a few exceptions. Uchiha Sasuke, the reserved and analytical heir of his clan, stared at her as if trying to solve a riddle. Then there was Hyuga Hinata, who would glance at Naruko, blush, look away while twiddling her fingers, and then repeat the process. And finally, Aburame Shino, who was subtly attempting to place one of his insects on her. Naruko gently lifted the insect onto her finger and blew it away with a soft puff of air. It's not polite to observe teammates without asking first, Shino, Naruko said calmly. The Aburame heir, nearly entirely hidden beneath his clothing, gave a small nod, visibly embarrassed. Acknowledged. I will remember that, it is a thoughtful reminder. At that moment, Yamanaka Ino and Haruno Sakura burst into the classroom, arguing in loud voices. I got here first. No way, I totally beat you. Forehead. Pig. Their familiar rivalry echoed through the room. Sakura immediately made her way to the seat beside Sasuke, causing a flurry of chatter and tension among the Uchiha fan club. Surprisingly, Ino didn't join them. Instead, she scanned the room until her gaze settled on Naruko. With an air of confidence that seemed slightly forced, she strolled up to Naruko. Hey there, Naruko-chan, she said sweetly, giving a quick flutter of her eyelashes. Naruko managed to keep a straight face, though she was clearly amused. Let me guess, you think being connected to the nine-tailed fox ranks higher than being part of the Uchiha fan club, and this is your way of introducing the idea of becoming Uzumaki Ino? Close? Ino blinked, caught off guard, but regained her composure quickly. Well, wouldn't that be such a powerful match? I mean, don't you think I'd make a great partner? Naruko noticed Hinata subtly glancing their way, her expression caught between disappointment and determination. That would have to be a conversation for another day. Naruko answered lightly, it's not that I'd say no. But we'd need someone else's blessing first. At that, the room went silent. Every eavesdropper was now openly staring. Ino's eyes widened. Wait. You're married? Yep. We tied the knot just after returning to the village. We've been together about a year now, Naruko said with a smile. We're open to the idea of having more people join the family, but only if we both agree. Ino's expression turned skeptical. Nice try, Naruko, but I'm not buying that story. You probably made her up just to throw me off. Naruko simply smiled and touched the rune-etched ring on her finger. She felt a familiar flicker of magic ripple through it, and moments later, the classroom felt different. A graceful figure entered the room, tall, poised, and elegant, wearing glasses that reflected her sharp intellect. She walked with a calm yet commanding presence, instantly capturing the room's attention. Good morning, she said pleasantly, although there was a distinct firmness to her tone. My name is Uzumaki Bayonetta. I sensed that my spouse needed me. Could someone kindly explain why? Ino slowly turned to face her, a sheepish look on her face. Bayonetta, this is Ino, Naruko said with a friendly smile. She didn't believe I was married. So I thought the two of you should meet. Bayonetta walked over to Naruko's side and gave her a sweet, chaste kiss on the forehead. Thank you for letting me know, dear. Then, addressing Ino again, she said, it's nice to meet you. If you ever want to be part of someone's life, kindness and confidence go a long way. Have a lovely day, dear. Ino gave a quick, nervous nod and quickly returned to her seat near Shikamaru and Kuji. Naruko turned to Bayonetta. Sorry to pull you away. Bayonetta waved it off. It's fine. Just a quiet morning at the shop. I'll see you at home, sweetheart. Good luck with your team assignments. With a graceful wave, she exited the classroom. The moment she left, students whispered among themselves in awe. Kiba rushed over, excited. Naruko. That was amazing. When did that happen? How did you meet someone like her? Naruko laughed. Believe it or not, I kind of freed her from a magical seal. The Hokage assigned her to train me after that. Somehow, she ended up liking me. I just try to appreciate it every day." Before Kiba could respond, Sasuke appeared on top of Naruko's desk with impressive speed. Naruko raised an eyebrow. "Can I help you?" Sasuke's gaze was intense. "A year ago, you could barely create a clone. Now you seem completely different. How did you get so strong?" Naruko shrugged. "Simple, really. Training. Long hours, focus, and a lot of determination. I worked with Bayonetta nonstop. It wasn't easy, but it paid off." As she spoke, the boy behind Sasuke accidentally leaned back too far, knocking Sasuke forward. Just as their faces neared, Naruko activated a special technique. Time seemed to slow for her. She stepped to the side, and time resumed. Sasuke landed unceremoniously in her empty chair. Kiba blinked. "Whoa. How'd you do that?" Naruko grinned. "A technique Bayonetta taught me. It doesn't speed me up, it slows everything else down." Sasuke silently stood and walked to the window seat. Naruko reset her chair and sat back down, gently petting Kurama, who was curled up beside her. Eventually, Iruka entered the classroom. "Settle down, everyone. Please take your seats." He smiled warmly. "Congratulations to all of you. As of yesterday, you are official graduates of the Ninja Academy. I've been honored to watch you grow, and I wish you the best in the future." After some light applause, he lifted a clipboard. "As per tradition, you will now be sorted into 3-person teams, each assigned a mentor." Gasps and murmurs filled the air. Team 7, Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura, and Uzumaki Naruko. Your instructor will be Jonin Hatake Kakashi. Naruko nodded, already expecting this team. She was fine working with Sasuke, though Sakura might need some encouragement to take her training seriously. Naruko hoped their sensei would be dedicated. Iruka continued reading off teams, then looked up at the clock. Your Jonin instructors will arrive between 11 and 1. Use this time to talk to your new teammates. And take a moment to wish your friends well, you may not be in the same class again. With that, Iruka left. Naruko motioned to Sasuke, and the two walked over to Sakura. "Sakura, want to head outside for a bit? It's a little noisy in here," Naruko suggested kindly. Sakura hesitated, nervously glancing at Kurama. But with Sasuke nearby, she nodded. "All right." They walked to the courtyard tree, the same one with the old swing. Kurama nestled beside Naruko as the team sat in a quiet triangle. "Okay, quick intro," Naruko said. "This is Kurama. He caused a lot of trouble the day I was born, but he's changed. He won't hurt anyone, and he's learning to be a better friend every day. Just be polite, and he'll be the same to you. And no, he's not allowed to cause any messes without my say-so." Sasuke made a quiet sound of agreement. Sakura, though still curious, asked, "Why? Why did he act out before?" Naruko turned to Kurama. "Want to explain?" Kurama opened one eye lazily. "I wasn't myself back then. I was confused and angry. But I'm learning now, and Naruko's helped me see things differently." Sakura blinked in surprise but gave a respectful nod. Kurama gave a contented yawn and went back to resting. For the first time that day, their new team sat in peace, perhaps not yet friends, but with the first seeds of understanding planted. Kurama let out a soft sigh. "I was once sealed within the blonde's mother, and even earlier in her great-great-aunt. The seals used to contain us tailed beasts are at their most delicate during childbirth. During Naruko's birth, a highly skilled rogue shinobi launched an attack, disrupted the seal, and used a powerful genjutsu on me the moment I emerged. The rest unfolded as you might expect." Sasuke leaned forward, intrigued. "What kind of genjutsu could possibly influence the nine-tailed fox?" he asked with focused curiosity. Kurama glanced toward Sasuke. "The kind that comes from a Sharingan." Sasuke's eyes widened in shock, a mix of disbelief and discomfort rising in his expression. "Are you suggesting that someone from my clan was involved in that incident?" Kurama gave a small shrug. "I'm saying someone wielding a Sharingan was involved. That doesn't necessarily mean they were part of your clan. It's possible someone could have taken one and used it for their own purposes. All I know for certain is that the last thing I saw before I lost control was a Sharingan eye. And then I was facing the 4th Hokage before being sealed into Naruko." He stretched lazily. "Regardless, those eyes of yours still rub me the wrong way. Let's just say we're not going to be best friends, Uchiha." Sasuke quieted down, appearing thoughtful. Sakura gently shifted the subject. Naruko? Why do you and Bayonetta-san wear the same kind of outfit? And, is it really made from your hair? Naruko twirled a lock of her sunny blonde hair. We wear this because it's part of her clan's tradition. After I married into the family, I became the third member carrying on that legacy. As for the outfit, it is made of my hair. Her clan uses specialized techniques that focus on manipulating hair to incredible levels. This suit may look soft, but it's actually tougher than many types of armor. And that's not even the impressive part. Bayonetta-chan helped train my reflexes so that I hardly ever need to rely on it. Sasuke raised an eyebrow. I thought she was training you to manage Kurama's chakra? Naruko waved a hand casually. In a way, yes. Learning her clan's techniques gave me the tools I needed to handle Kurama's energy safely and effectively. So, technically, yes, training in the witch arts also helped prepare me to work alongside Kurama. Sakura tilted her head. Witch arts? It's what her clan calls their unique style of jutsu. They were known as the Umbran Witches, Naruko explained. Sasuke gave a dismissive shrug. Never heard of them. I'm not surprised. They're almost gone. There's Bayonetta-chan, her cousin Jean, and now me. The clan goes back much further than most realize, Naruko said, keeping some history to herself. Anyway, since we're already talking, how about we officially introduce ourselves? She stepped forward with a confident smile. I'm Uzumaki Naruko. I specialize in the witch arts, a powerful and rare set of jutsu. I'm partnered with Kurama, which gives me access to high-level chakra techniques. My strengths? High energy reserves, strong taijutsu, and I'm not one to give up easily. My weaknesses? I'm not exactly a bookworm, and I haven't worked with many teammates, so I'm still learning how to function in a group. She glanced to Sakura, who took a deep breath before speaking. I'm Haruno Sakura. I focus on the basic 3 academy jutsu and building traps. I've got a great memory, really good chakra control, and I never miss a target. But I need to improve my physical strength, and I sometimes get caught off guard when someone does something totally unexpected. Naruko gave her a reassuring nod and turned to Sasuke. He stayed quiet at first, but finally spoke. Uchiha Sasuke. My specialties are my clan's fire-style jutsu and hand-to-hand combat. I have decent chakra reserves and good control. My biggest limitation is that I've taught myself most of what I know since an important event 10 years ago. So I'm not always sure if my technique is perfect. Naruko nodded. Now we all know where we stand. We're not just 3 individuals who happen to be working together. We're a team. That means learning from each other, supporting each other, and growing together. I'm not saying we have to become legendary, but we can become one of the best teams out there if we really work at it. She extended her hand. So here's my promise, I'm committed to this team. Not just the missions, but helping us become better together. Who's with me? After a long pause, Sasuke reached out and placed his hand over hers. Sakura hesitated, then smiled and added hers on top. To Team 7, Naruko said warmly. To Team 7, the others echoed. Dash. The Shinobi Witch. The 3 young shinobi of Team 7 were sitting in their classroom, still waiting for their new sensei. Nearly 5 hours after they were told to meet. After taking a short lunch break, they'd return to the classroom, only to see every other student leave with their new mentor. Do you think this is part of our training? Naruko mused aloud, doodling a few harmless spell patterns on a piece of paper. Like, maybe they're seeing how we handle long waits? If it is, I'm not sure how much longer I can handle this, Sasuke muttered, clearly frustrated. Sakura offered a nervous laugh, trying to lighten the mood. I'm sure there's a reason. Maybe something urgent came up, and he couldn't get word to us in time. Naruko raised an eyebrow. Then why were all the other Jonin able to make it on time? What, did ours take the scenic route because he saw a squirrel and got distracted? At that moment, the classroom door slid open, and a tall figure with silver hair sticking straight up peeked in. He wore a face mask and used his forehead protector to cover one eye. Funny you should say that, he said with a chuckle. That's exactly what happened. Naruko didn't even look up as she made a quick hand sign and murmured, Zodainu. A magical glyph formed over his head, and a sudden stream of water drenched him from head to toe. His spiky hair flopped down like wet straw. Sasuke smirked. Sakura looked like she was trying to decide whether to scold Naruko or applaud her quick spell. The soggy Jonin stared at them through his only visible eye. My first impression of you is, you're going to be a handful. Meet me on the roof. With that, he vanished in a blur, leaving behind a few wet footprints and 3 very surprised Junon. I have no regrets, Naruko declared confidently. Then she gently nudged Kurama awake and led her teammates to the rooftop, where they found Kakashi waiting, calm and composed, leaning casually against the railing. Let's begin with introductions, Kakashi said warmly, as if they were old friends catching up. Sakura raised her hand politely, still very much in her academy mindset. Sensei, would you mind going first? Just so we know how you'd like us to do it? Of course, Kakashi replied with a nod. I'm Hatake Kakashi. My likes. My dislikes. My dream. Well, I have a number of interests. Your turn, Pinky. All he really told us was his name, thought the three newly graduated ninja. Sakura took a deep breath, encouraged by the short bond she'd started forming with her new teammates. I'm Haruno Sakura. I enjoy reading, learning, and spending time with Sasuke. I don't really like distractions when I'm focused, or anything that gets in the way of reaching my goals. My hobbies are reading and trying out new healthy recipes. My dream is to someday become someone who can stand beside Sasuke as an equal. She blushed, stealing a glance toward Sasuke, who didn't visibly react. Kakashi raised an eyebrow, surprised by her sincerity. All right. Your turn, Sunshine. Naruko suppressed the urge to make a dramatic statement and instead smiled. I'm Uzumaki Naruko, and this sleepyhead here is Kurama. She gave the fox inside her a playful nudge in her thoughts. I like ramen, making friends, and learning new things with the people I care about. I really don't like when people judge others without giving them a chance, or when teamwork breaks down. My hobbies include practicing new ninja techniques and exploring new places. My dream is to make lots of friends, become Hokage one day, and live a life full of adventure and happiness. Kakashi gave a knowing nod. The Hokage had likely filled him in on some of Naruko's background already. And last but not least, the quiet one. Sasuke looked unimpressed but answered directly. I'm Uchiha Sasuke. I like tomatoes. I dislike unnecessary attention. My hobby is training, and my dream is to honor my clan and make it strong again. Kakashi acknowledged him with a nod and didn't comment on Sakura's slightly downcast expression. Great. Now we've all introduced ourselves, let's move on to something important, the graduation exam. Naruko tilted her head thoughtfully. So, let me guess. The academy test was just to check our basics, and your test is the one that decides if we really become Jonin? Bingo, Kakashi said, giving them a dramatic thumbs up. Every Jonin has the right to test their new team. If you pass my test, you officially become Jonin of the Hidden Leaf. If you don't, you return to the academy for more training. He gave them a cheerful eye smile. Just so you know, the failure rate for this second test is over 66%. And my test is considered the most challenging. Kurama huffed softly. Just tell us when and where. Kakashi gave the fox a careful glance. Tomorrow morning, training ground 7. Be there at 5 a.m. and one more thing, don't eat breakfast. Trust me, it's better that way. With that, he disappeared in a blur of motion. Naruko stretched and stood up. All right then, see you all in 12 hours. HNN, Sasuke murmured. Okay. See you both tomorrow, Sakura said, sounding a bit unsure. And with that, they each went their separate ways, their minds already turning toward the challenge ahead. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this part. I hope you enjoyed the ride. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep the energy flowing. Your support means everything and helps this channel grow stronger with each drop of content. I'd love to hear your thoughts, theories, and takes, so don't be shy, hit up that comment section and let's talk about it. There's plenty more on the way, so stay tuned for the next part of this wild journey. We're just getting started. Thanks for being here, and as always, I'm deeply grateful for each and every one of you who vibes with this content. Until next time. This has been Six Path Weeb. Stay real, stay curious, and stay legendary.